Hi there, warm greetings to you. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I want to talk to you today about some things that are going on with our federal government. And these are really just current events that I'm going to throw out at you. And when we get done putting them all together, I'll let you decide whether it all makes sense or not. So, first off, let's talk about what's going on with the Supreme Court, because there's a couple of different interesting things happening there. First, we had the man get arrested yesterday for the attempted assassination of Brett Kavanaugh. And this was blamed by a lot of people on Chuck Schumer's rhetoric, among many others. But here's an example of what Chuck Schumer had to say.
Over the last 3 years, women's reproductive rights have come under attack in a way we haven't seen in modern history. From Louisiana to Missouri to Texas, Republican legislatures are waging a war on women, all women, and they're taking away fundamental rights. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
Now, when we listen to these things, we think, well, maybe we should put common sense restrictions on speech, because speech could obviously be dangerous. I mean, Chuck Schumer, with that rhetoric, could very well have motivated that young man to try to assassinate Brett Kavanaugh. But here's the thing: is that's already illegal. It's called an incitement to violence, and you can't do that legally. So when we compare this to, let's see, the gun debate, isn't it already illegal to murder people? Yeah. So do we really need to add any more laws after something like the school shooting or the shooting in Buffalo, New York? Attempted assassination of Brett Kavanaugh and the protesters who are still out in front of his house to this day, they are protesting the Roe v. Wade decision, or the overturning of that, which the decision hasn't come out yet. It's expected to come out, though, soon. And we don't know what's going to happen for sure. Maybe their threats worked and changed the justices' minds. That's why it's illegal to try to intimidate a justice or a judge through protest. So there's another interesting case also in front of the Supreme Court, and this decision will be coming out too at the same time. And that's a case out of New York, and it's asking whether it is constitutional to require citizens to have a permit to carry their guns outside of their house. So I'm going to bring to you this article from the Western Journal, and the headline here is Supreme Court ruling on New York gun law could have a colossal national impact. And what this is saying, if we scroll down here, it says the biggest problem for New Yorkers is that being awarded a gun permit is extremely difficult in New York, and permit applications must provide to police that they face a special or unique danger and have proper cause. Well, how about living in New York? Isn't that kind of good enough reason? This is called may issue, and that citizens can apply for a permit, but the police may deny this application for any reason. Other states have shall issue rules requiring authorities to issue a permit without forcing citizens to provide anything other than their legal standing. New York, though, makes getting a permit nearly impossible, and two Rensselaer County residents have sued the state, arguing they shouldn't have to prove proper cause to exercise their constitutional right. And they're absolutely right. There's no reason that you shouldn't have to petition the government for a permit to be able to speak freely or to worship how you wish. You shouldn't have to petition the government for permission to not be searched without your permission, or to remain silent and be compelled to speak. This is the same thing with the Second Amendment, and this is the kind of thing that we need to start bringing to the forefront and reminding people that we have constitutional rights for a reason, and our constitutional rights aren't dependent on a majority. There's articles I've read that talked about a more majority of Americans want stricter gun laws. But that doesn't matter because a majority of Americans can want to get rid of a constitutional amendment or one of the Bill of Rights, but that just won't happen. Not in this country, at least, hopefully. Carrying on. Carrying a firearm outside the home is a fundamental constitutional right. It is some extraordinary action that requires an extraordinary demonstration of need. Or does not, excuse me, it is not some extraordinary action that requires an extraordinary demonstration of need. Attorney Paul Clement said during November's oral arguments on the case. Anti-gun advocates feel that the Supreme Court, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Incorporated versus Bruen, could upend many of New York's restrictive gun laws. The justices' questioning of lawyers arguing the case may have been a sign that a majority of the court is against the law. The consensus based on the oral arguments is that they will probably strike down New York's law, which has been on the books for a century. Saul Cornell, the Paul and Diane Gunther Chair in American History at Fordham University, told CBS in a separate piece also published Monday. So we're going to leave this, and you get the point. But what I want to show you on top of this is what the House Democrats have done. So I'll bring you to the Gateway Pundit here. And here we have the House Democrats block bill to provide more security for Supreme Court justices despite foiled plot to kill Brett Kavanaugh. And we can watch this video by Kevin McCarthy right here.
Earlier today, a man was arrested for plotting to kill Justice Kavanaugh. Over a month ago, the Senate unanimously passed a bill to provide more security for Supreme Court justices and their family. But House Democrats have let that bill gather dust. This is the same party whose heated rhetoric has encouraged political pressure on conservative justices. Former White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said, "I know that there's an outrage right now, I guess, about protests that have been peaceful to date. And we certainly do continue to encourage that outside judges' homes, and that's the president's position." And Majority Leader Schumer said, "I want to tell you, with words like that and threats like these, Congress cannot afford to wait. We have a duty to protect the court, the justices, and their families from political violence and intimidation."
Okay, so you get the argument there. But what did the House actually approve? Well, they approved a gun control bill, and this raises the age limit for someone to own a to purchase a semi-automatic weapon from 18 to 21, which means that we can enforce the draft and tell our kids to go to war at the age of 18, but otherwise we won't let them own a weapon because apparently they're not mentally developed enough. But they are mentally developed enough to go to war, according to our government. So Chuck Schumer, the same man who was calling for violence, is saying that here we have a moral obligation to take action to break this cycle. So Chuck Schumer is perfectly fine with taking away your weapons, your defense weapons. I don't like calling them assault weapons. How about defense weapons? Because that's what they are. And he has no problem inciting violence and calling for violence against these Supreme Court justices. And the House will strike down a bill that is specifically meant to protect the justices when they're already not even enforcing the laws on the books. And then they want to pass a gun control bill that essentially makes many handguns illegal because it's a magazine capacity ruling. Currently, any semi-automatic centerfire rifle or semi-automatic centerfire shotgun that has the capacity to accept an ammunition feeding device with a capacity exceeding 5 rounds. That's any weapon. That's all weapons, pretty much, besides a 6-shooter. It's so what they've done here is they've made up another word, ghost guns, which they've, along with assault weapons, have never been able to actually prove what a ghost gun is. And these 3D printed weapons without serial numbers, it's just ridiculous. These are rules made by people who have no idea what they're talking about, and it's very frustrating. Very frustrating. So tonight is going to be the beginning of the Kangaroo Court or show trials of the January 6th subcommittee that's supposed to be investigating what happened on January 6th, even though the person who's in charge of security is actually on the committee. Anyways, I want to remind you about January 6th and something that really bothered me from that day, and it still bothers me to this day. And that is the killing of an unarmed Air Force veteran named Ashley Babbitt. And to this day, we have not seen justice for Ashley Babbitt. In fact, her killer did a TV show appearance and an interview and was kind of hailed as a hero, which is absolutely disgusting. So I want everyone to remember that as they put on these show trials tonight, and remember that your government either thinks you're stupid or they just don't care anymore, because it's so obvious now that they're not hiding it. So please, if you want to spread this information around, I'd really appreciate that. And if you like what I have to say, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button on this video, and I'll be giving you some more videos up here in the future. Peace be with you.